Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, sitting down to talk about The Outer Worlds. Now ladies and gentlemen, for those who maybe missed my little review earlier, The Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition seemed like a pretty obvious slam dunk for Obsidian, Private Division, and all parties involved. Oh, we take this already awesome RPG, we just make it look a little better, we package in all the DLC into one nice bundle, and we sell to the player. Oh, we add a new level cap, all that cool stuff, but for the most part, it's the same game, just it looks a little bit better. We already had the 60 FPS boost as a part of the Xbox platform, so a lot of the work is done for us, it would seem. This seems like an obvious win. Well, it's been anything but that. The Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition, as I mentioned in my review, has an ironically great name because it does feel like truly the Spacer's Choice Edition of the video game. It's busted and janky compared to the original product, and I'm not sure exactly how it came to be, but a lot of people have pointed the finger at Obsidian. But as I mentioned in my review, Virtuos was behind this, and Private Division was the one who hit the go button. It seems like Obsidian just had to sign off on letting them do what seemed to be a simple next-gen update, really. Since then, Obsidian's responded, Private Division's responded. We're going to go through what's going on with the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition and how they plan on bringing a remedy to this situation. And afterwards, we're going to talk about Josh Sawyer and what he is going to be up to now that he's finished up with Pentiment. And I think you'll find his answers most intriguing. Of course, we're going to be tracking Josh Sawyer and what he's up to because a lot of people are pinning him as the guy who will direct New Vegas 2. We'll see about that. I have some thoughts, but ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, you're into Xbox news, information, and for all the companies they own, certainly you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. Let's begin with the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition. So, first off, Obsidian responded, and I want to cover their response because I find it interesting how the finger was being really pointed at a certain someone, so let's read what they had to say over on Reddit. I'm sorry that you have all been experiencing performance issues with the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition. I understand how frustrating this can be, and I assure you the team at Private Division is working on getting a patch out as soon as possible. When we have more information about that patch, we'll be sure to let folks know. If you run into any other issues while playing the game, please feel free to submit a support ticket to Private Division. They are the dedicated support for the Outer Worlds, and we're doing our best to funnel all the information to them so they can find solutions as quickly as possible. Thank you for your patience and understanding. On a side note, I just wonder how Obsidian's feeling going, man, we made this bomb game and y'all are wrecking it. But here's the interesting point with that Reddit post. It's a lot of go to Private Division, go to Private Division, go to Private Division. They were not responsible for it at all, and they're making it very clear here with the Reddit post. You can already tell by looking at the developers behind the game. You can see it right when you open up the game. Virtuos is one of the first developers to pop up. Obsidian, of course, being credited as the original developer. So a lot of people laid the blame at their feet, and as I said in my review, it was not Obsidian Entertainment. It doesn't make it any less disappointing, but we got to make sure we're holding the right people accountable, right? So let's go ahead and take our attention and put it on Private Division. What are they doing for the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition? They write on their website as of 4 days ago that there's a patch update 1.1 where they write, we have a new update for the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition that will help resolve many of the visual and performance issues that have been reported. While this does not resolve all that we have seen, our team is still working to address issues and will continue to do so in future patches. The version 1.1 patch is rolling out now to players on PS5 and PC. However, we ask for some patience for the Series X and Microsoft Store players as we hope to have version 1.1 patch available to those by the middle of next week. Wow, so they're making you wait too. Thank you for your patience while our team worked diligently to get this out, and continue reading below to see what resolutions this update brings you. And as you can see here, it highlights some of the quote top community issues like adjusting the settings for ultra and very high graphics modes, improving experience for PC players on higher end graphics cards, because there are people with 40 series graphics cards having problems running the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice Edition, which is crazy to think about. Now, continuing on over to the patch notes, they also say that they fixed things like the SSGI being set inappropriately high on PC, affecting performance. They updated the SSR values to improve cinematic mode for series consoles as well as PlayStation 5. The dynamic resolution on PC has been updated, and the frame rate and performance modes for both series consoles and PlayStation 5 has been updated, plus a plethora of other little fixes here. Now, what you need to know here is, as Private Division so bluntly put it, is this doesn't fix everything. So the game is still pretty busted as of this moment in time. I checked it out for myself. It's still not working as well, although there are improvements, but fans have taken to Twitter, and we can see right here where someone writes, when are you going to release the patch that actually really for real fixes the frame rate issues on PS5? Because that's what I'm waiting for. And Private Division says, our team is working right now on the patch, and we're putting a major focus on fixing performance issues across all SKUs. Date and more info incoming. I see things like this and I just want to curl up into a ball. This should never have happened. And I know we say that for literally every super buggy game that releases, but this was a next-gen update, if you will, that nobody was asking for, nobody was pressuring them to do. I don't know what the time constraint was. I have to imagine there was something in place that made them go, release this dang thing now. You got to do it now, Virtuals. You got to do it now, Private Division. There had to be some type of pressure somewhere for them to want to release it in this state, because now it's turned into this whole big story. And as I've said before, avoid this version, just go play the original and buy the DLC. It works fine. It still looks great. I don't think the graphical updates were really worth the price of admission anyways. I think in some ways the game actually looked a little bit worse, and of course it plays worse. And the level cap, well, the Outer Worlds was already an easy game. You could beat it under-leveled if you quite frankly wanted to. It's kind of the benefit of the role-playing options in the game. You could talk your way through things, but I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what's going on with the Outer Worlds. Now let's turn our attention over to Josh Sawyer and really focus on Obsidian, because this is the truth about them, right? A lot of people were blaming them for what happened with Spacer's Choice Edition. That's not their fault, but we need to know, well, what's next for Obsidian? Of course, we already are aware Avowed is in development. It seems like that's the next project to come out from Obsidian. We know they're actively supporting Grounded as it's released in 1.0 late last year. Pentiment is out, that released in November of last year. And so now we're going to focus on director of Pentiment, Josh Sawyer, who is a, we'll say, highly sought after commodity for Obsidian, right? And they utilize his talents well, to the point where when he said to, according to my interview with him on Defining Duke Ultimate, he presented to Xbox and Obsidian this idea of Pentiment. It was almost a do this or I'm gonna walk out, and because they value him so much, they let him do Pentiment. He even says on an interview we're gonna talk about in a moment here that Xbox didn't care because it's an art game if this made money or not, which was really cool to hear, because they just supported a hardworking dude's passion project and he got to let it all go in Pentiment. And it was a fantastic game, which was really, really cool to see. But anyway, a lot of folks are wondering what Josh Sawyer is up to, because let's be honest, there's been rumors about New Vegas 2, there's been rumors about a New Vegas collection, and Josh has a lot of roots in the Fallout franchise dating back to the original New Vegas, where, yeah, he was the director of that game. So a lot of people are starting to wonder, okay, you're a little bit free now, Josh. What's the plan? Where are you moving your talents to in the Obsidian building? You working on Avowed? You working on your own thing? Well, let's start off with what Josh is cooking, right? Let's see what he's working on now that Pentiment is done.
Josh, are you still in a phase of kind of basking in the success of Pentiment, or where are you at creatively at this point in your career?
I mean, I'm glad it was well received. I'm glad I'm going to go to the BAFTAs. That'll be fun.
Hey, look at that.
But the right now I'm studio design director at Obsidian, so I'm just helping out on other projects, and I have some time, some variable amount of time to figure out what I'm going to do next. And I don't know if it's going to be small or mid-size or big, but I think going back to what I said much earlier, like, as long as I'm super stoked about it and I have a core of people who can get super stoked about it, because to be frank, Pentiment, I couldn't have, like, we always say this stuff, but like, when I came to Hannah Kennedy, my art director, with the idea for it, if she wasn't on board with it, I literally would have just abandoned it, because she's the only person that I really thought could do it. But I got to find people that are as jazzed about it as I am, at least the core, because as I said, the bigger the team gets, the harder it is to get everyone to be super stoked about it. But yeah, I have some time, thankfully, to think about it. But yeah, that's where I am.
So what he pretty much is emphasizing here is that he's a free agent and he can kind of move into whatever project he wants. He's deciding what he personally is going to work on next. And this is important to note, because one thing Josh touched on a lot leading into the announcement of Pentiment is that he needed a game like this because he was starting to get into that phase of burnout, of working on these big titles, right? He's gone through Kickstarter projects, so he needed something small and more simple, less complex, if you will. Not that Pentiment isn't a complex game, because it is, but I'm thinking more along the lines of, would you rather develop Pentiment or Avowed, right? And so he's in a position of strength now where he's choosing his next project. He has yet to identify it's going to be small, medium size, or big, so it can be any number of things, and that does leave fans a bit in the dark, but it's exciting because I like the fact that as much as I want him to work on another Fallout game, I do like that Josh is in this position of, he's really earned this position, by the way, where he can choose what he wants to work on next. That's rare to have in a big AAA company, and it's even more rare that a big AAA company is going to say, make this game Pentiment that's just art driven and we don't care if it makes money. That's a dream come true for a developer. Don't worry about the business side of things, just make yo game. That's awesome. So I hope they let him stay in this pocket. I really do. Whether it's another game like Pentiment or it's something a little bit more ambitious, I just can't wait to see what he's doing next. But the question is, beyond his own project, what is he dipping his toes into? Is he working on Avowed? Is he working on Grounded? How is he utilizing his time while he decides what his next project is? Well, he also sounded off on that during the MinnMax show.
Extra tempted to dive into Avowed just because you have the connection to that world? Is it something you're focusing on more than most?
I mean, like I said, I'm the studio design director, so wherever I am needed and wanted, I will help out. But you know, we have Grounded, which I'm only a little, because that's live now, and they're doing ongoing support. And then we have Avowed and Outer Worlds 2, and so I help out on those. But it's purely grandpa advising. They're not my projects, so I just kind of say, take this or leave it.
So old grandpa advice, and advice probably worth following. I think of when I listen to Josh speak about games, because he has a great YouTube channel, by the way, and I recommend people who are interested in game development watch him speak about it, because he has the same energy as when I think about Todd Howard and how he speaks about video games, where they take these very complex things and simplify them. That's the sign of someone who really understands game design extraordinarily well, and it's very difficult to do. I'm personally still learning how to translate my ideas into more simplified manners. It's super tough to do because you want to make something complex, but then internally make it simple. And so I personally just like that he's in an advisor role, if you will, as he picks his next thing, because he can help shepherd that next era of Obsidian talent, right? Raise up a level of talent that continues on the pedigree that this company has established for itself. So that's what Josh is really up to. I know a lot of folks were hoping, I might be working on Fallout, and he's expressed interest in the past, as well as numerous other employees at Obsidian, such as CEO Fergus Urquhart, Leonard Boyarsky, and so on and so forth. Tim Kaine have all been like, it'd be cool to get New Vegas back in the building. Yes, it would. I know this doesn't directly send us in that direction, but we have a guy who worked on Fallout vacant, describing what is a situation where he kind of is in an advisory role until he picks what he wants to do. And perhaps he may end up feeling that Fallout spark, and we'll see where that could go. Obviously, that requires a lot of handshakes and business meetings. And if he's on that area of potential burnout before Pentiment, then I don't know how likely that is, but I feel like one way or another, Xbox will figure something out when it comes to what's going on with Fallout, and are we going to just have Bethesda Game Studios only work on it? We'll see in due time, but I thought this was an interesting collection of news here as Obsidian responds to all sorts of questions surrounding their company on what's next for Josh Sawyer, what's going on with the Outer Worlds Spacer's Choice, and put it together in one video. So I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.